And of course, if you're a fan of the man who does not like the lights, give a cheer for mTwDeMusliM.
Yeah, so here we are on Steps of War, and this is a map. We'll look at it really quickly here so you guys can get a look at it. For those of you who don't know, there's a very narrow choke point that leads across to sort of a low ground in the middle, and then right into the other side of your opponent.
Man, these got to be some of the best mannered players I have ever seen.
Indeed. Look at this. MakaPrime, 1 game away from elimination, just had an embarrassing loss, and he's sleepy, and he just wants to give a
And he's
heart.
sending mTwDeMusliM hearts.
Yeah, no problem. To thousands of people on the stream.
So we got the first supply depot going on for mTwDeMusliM, and it looks like Maka is putting his supply depot again at his choke.
So it seems like you're going for a very similar first supply depot placement. That means a lot.
Yeah, I mean, especially on this map, it's going to be very, very unnerving if you have too much vulnerable buildings at the front of your base because of how incredibly close these distances are. But weirdly enough, if you can stay alive to getting 2 or even 3 bases, that's when suddenly the game stops being aggressive, because those cliffs are so difficult to deal with that players tend to become passive.
Right, and mass siege tank is so challenging for players to put through in Terran versus Terran. It often becomes a Viking war. I've even seen in a couple of cases it's become a nuke war as players are trying to break up each other's position and close the distance. But you're right, if it goes too long, we'll definitely see those siege tanks come out and the game slow down quite a bit.
Absolutely, and there's the barracks going down for mTwDeMusliM and the refinery. And if you look in the top left at the production tab, you can see these players are pretty much lined up with their construction. MakaPrime, of course, having just an ever so slightly later barracks because it is far away, but both of them going barracks, gas, immediately into an orbital command, which will let them get those tasty mules.
So there are a couple of watchtowers of this map that can make some significant differences on the left and the right side of the map. They're the top left and bottom right. And there's some critical expansions these players will be looking to taking. And with the ability of Terrans to fly their command centers around, we may see them moving those around to grab these critical high-yield expansions to try to gain some benefit later in the game.
Yeah, once they're able to get there, ideally both of these players are going to try to establish that map, the map control as soon as possible. We're taking a look at MakaPrime's SCV getting a little sneaky. Maybe we'll see him try to pull some shenanigans. I don't see him going for a tech lab or anything super sneaky. We just see Maka's factory now going down.
Yeah, and this is kind of something funny that very, very good players do. Oh, it looks like Maka is going to try to kill off this SCV. Now, most players know to hide something sneaky or goofy. They know to do something like hide a starport way off here in the corner if they don't want to have the starport found. But what Maka's doing is he's doing a normal opening, but he's hiding it inside his base. And if he gets scouted, his opponent is going to think, wow, where are all the buildings? He's going to overreact, he's going to panic, and of course Maka's doing everything right and normal as can be.
Right. So we saw that scout did get taken out, so no sneaky shenanigans there inside the other Terran base. And it looks like both players are still just building up very similar builds again across the board. Factory for both players.
And actually, with that scout, Maka wasn't able to even get in and see that mTwDeMusliM was putting down a factory even. He literally just left it in the side of the base where it was picked off.
Now that, of course, is always the big risk when you try to be a little too sneaky. Maka now pulling all his units to the far back side, and it looks like mTwDeMusliM is going for a very similar build than he did last game. He's getting this very fast reactor barracks, and it looks like he's getting more and more Hellions, and he's getting the starport. This is an anti-marine build. Just wants to do a big push early on and bust his opponent, and Maka, somehow having a great read, is getting Hellions with the Infernal Pre-Igniter. Now that is a very unusual play. He is pretty much just blindly battling what he hopes his opponent will do.
That's not really standard for Terran versus Terran in many cases, right?
Yeah,
you usually see that used more significantly against Zerg, occasionally against Protoss, but rarely against Terran, just because there's usually so many Marauders and mech units in play. And to get the pre-igniters, which gives the Hellions additional damage against light units like Marines, is not usually the right move, but in this case, I think he's got it right.
And it looks like mTwDeMusliM is now poking up the range, trying to do a little bit of damage, but oh, look at the Marine count by Maka. It looks like mTwDeMusliM will be retreating.
And even more interesting, I think, what I want to point out about getting those Hellions so quickly from Maka was that he didn't scout mTwDeMuslim's base. Right? Like, scouting is generally the backbone of anything that you try to do in a StarCraft match. And we didn't see him get over and get any information from his opponent, but he was still able to have the presence of mind to get those Hellions out there. And it's looking like his Infernal Pre-Igniter is pretty close to finishing. And he's pulling back a couple of those Hellions, just trying to wait for it to finish. It needs to finish before he engages with those Hellions, or he is going to be in trouble.
He really wants that upgrade down. He'd almost timed it right, but he's a little bit off. He got a little bit too close. But still, looks like he's gathering up and he's reconsidering. He's going to try to push in. Good spread there for mTwDeMusliM, keeping his units spread out to prevent a lot of damage from those splash Hellions. And here we go, the unit's closing in. Let's see what happens.
And I think DeMuslim's going to be very surprised to see that blue plane. There's one Marine getting cooked, but oh no! Losing the key units in this battle. The Hellions and DeMusliM just playing it safe, pulling back, getting all these Hellions and Marines and expanding. Very unusual play by DeMusliM that's working extremely, extremely well.
He lost a lot of hits on those Hellions there. I think he really would prefer to be shooting up those Marines instead of wasting those shots on the Hellions, and so he didn't get a lot of the damage I think he was hoping to get out of those Infernal Pre-Igniters.
And him losing those very crucial Hellions that early in that exchange hurt him a lot. And right now it looks like DeMusliM is even in a pretty good position to push up here. If we actually take a look at the army tab, for just a split second, we can see that DeMusliM has just about double the amount of cost on the field.
Oh, and it looks like Maka's trying to land. Wanted to pick off that SCV mining, but the two Marines arrived, repelled it. And note that there is nothing high-tech coming out of DeMuslim's base. First tank just now started. We are at the 8-minute and 20-second mark, and has only made Hellions, Marines, and Medevacs very low-tech units. It's going to allow him to be extremely aggressive, and Maka, who is going for this seeming blind counter, is in just terrible shape right now.
Yeah, he's in a tough spot right here. That's a big force standing outside his base. He's got the spotters. See up on the high ground.
Uh-oh. It looks like a Banshee is trying to swing around the south side, but the real problem is the fact that these supply depots are huge vulnerabilities. Look at DeMusliM. Not even trying to push up, just taking them out. 3 depots. Nom, 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 nom.
Just blasting away.
Yeah, so once again, he's suffering from his depot placement, except for this time he lost 2 from the front. That's a pretty big deal. It actually puts him upside down on food, so he's not going to be able to build any additional units. But down at the bottom of the map, we do see that Banshee was able to get in there, pick off a couple Marines, but it doesn't look like it'll be able to do too much more. Almost able to finish that SCV. Oh, and the Marines are probably going to scare him right out of there.
And it looks like, look at that great control by Maka. It's not really taking any damage, has 5 kills. And there's kill number 6. Probably should have been a little more prudent with that one, but he will be able to almost take out a 7th SCV. But 6 kills is plenty. Maka being real bold with that Banshee. He knows that this is really the one thing that is distracting his opponent from just killing him.
And you can see he's using the terrain very well right now. Using the ground and the cliff to keep himself away. The Banshee has 1 more range than the Marine. It means if he can just keep away, he will be able to continue to pound in that position. But a Viking might be a little bit of a problem as it closes in for the kill. The Banshee running for its life, only 6 hit points left as it flees across the map. The Viking in hot pursuit, unable to quite catch him. And there we go. The Viking loses vision, and the Banshee gets away with his kill scot-free.
But now over on the left side of the map, we see Maka just moved another Banshee into play. We'll see if he tries to do anything with that. It actually looked like he was trying to move a couple of those Marines over there to possibly defend it from another Viking threat. Now back, oh yes, and there goes the Banshee. Oh wow, that is far too many Marines to deal with. Oh, and he's still trying to kite 7 Marines.
With 14 health. Can he actually do it? 8 health remaining as the Banshee dances away, and he manages to get off the other side of the base, getting a significant amount of scouting, I might add, as well, as he buzzed that base.
Oh, yes, DeMusliM trying to get in there and stop that Banshee from making it back safely. This isn't looking good.
DeMusliM is in great shape. MakaPrime not doing too shabby himself. The one problem that DeMusliM is facing is that he has way more Hellions and Marines than he really wants to at this point. They cannot be helping too much at this stage. You mainly want those tanks and Marauders, and that is what MakaPrime was getting faster. But look at how late MakaPrime's orbital command is landing at that expansion.
Yeah, the only thing he can hope to do in terms of the economy at this point is to keep using those Banshees and try to pick off as many workers as he can to buy that difference back, right? To buy the fact that he was late with that expansion and really try to tear up his enemy's economy.
Wow, DeMusliM almost losing that Viking for just about no reason, possibly just trying to get over there and scout, I guess. I don't know why else you would throw those out there.
And it looks like DeMusliM, oh my goodness, Cloak is done right now for Maka. This is the big problem a lot of Terran players have is the delayed Banshees, no anti-air here, no energy for a stand.
On that one.
And no, he just threw down a mule. Oh my goodness, this could just be absolutely horrific. A full energy Banshee moving into the back of the main. DeMusliM has absolutely nothing to defend it.
He's got nothing to use to see this thing. It's completely cloaked. He's got no detection. There's nothing on the battlefield right now until he gets enough energy back for a comp set. And there's another one beating away at these workers, tearing up his economy. economy. He's got to get some energy back.
Wow.
In the meantime, he's just going to take a pounding from these cloaked Banshees.
So this is a really awesome move for Maka to move in exactly at this time, putting 2 Banshees in 2 separate places, and right now it's looking like theMusliM is only going to have enough energy to scan one of them. This is an awesome play for Maka getting out there. Now theMusliM is literally not mining from either of his bases.
Oh my goodness, and look at this Banshee, 20 kills, and the Banshee on the right, 11 kills, that's 30 workers. There's the scan, this Banshee is gone, but the one on the right is still alive and kicking. He will soon have enough scan, but it doesn't matter, he is out of energy, but the damage was dealt. Going to the resource station, Maka has pulled into the lead.
Unbelievable. What a great move, and just a great use of psychology and using position. Yeah, give it up for these players, guys. That was beautiful.
That was such a very, very strong play from Maka, really pulling in exactly when he needed to, because he was very quickly kind of starting to fall behind in this matchup, and that's very bad, sending over one of those scout Vikings to see what's going on. Even looking at that income tab, the harvester count is absolutely devastating for theMusliM.
Yeah, that's a huge, huge difference right there. And of course, lots of mules also lost every time he had to do one of those comsats, so that's additional funds he simply doesn't have and will never have moving forward.
Ooh, and we see another Banshee down there just trying to move in. He's trying to micro around. I don't think that cloak's going to... Wow, okay, does save him.
Unbelievable. He's only got a little bit of energy left. I don't know if he's going to get out of here alive in time. He's going to just take his lumps, get in a few shots on these Marauders, and then when his cloak fails, I'm sure he'll be destroyed immediately by those Vikings.
And there he falls down, so theMusliM just trying to play safe, trying to make sure he has an excellent defense. There's a missile turret going on the front. There's a few tanks from theMusliM, but look at Maka already having a big tank count. That's 6, 7 tanks. There's 2 factories producing and has a lot of barracks. MakaPrime is going to be going for a very, very big push shortly while still harassing with
just
these
doesn't stop,
repeatedly.
It just keeps going. It just happens again and again. You think you have more turrets up at this point or be using those Vikings, but he wants to push. It looks like he's going to get whittled away again, and here comes another Banshee. There is a turret nearby, though, that might be able to save some of his workers in this position.
Now, unfortunately, we can see that the missile turret is just out of range of seeing that Banshee with where it's able to attack. So he's probably going to be able to take down that supply depot just about no problem. We see one of theMuslim's orbital commands just about to hit that 50 mark. Now, simultaneously, in the middle of the map, we see a large engagement starting to happen. Wow, not looking too good. theMusliM forced to retreat back up his ramp as MakaPrime is able to get down those siege tanks, put them into siege mode, and set up a very comfortable position in the center of the map.
Yeah, he's got a good position right there. He's really blasting away, but it's not over yet. There are enough siege tanks there on the high ground they might be able to defend, and it looks like, yeah, he doesn't quite like the look of that, and he's going to back up a little bit more.
And that is such a great play by Maka, because look, in the main of theMusliM, 4 workers mining minerals. That is far fewer than you should have.
Few less than you might want at this time.
He should absolutely invest in more than 4 workers there, but he cannot help with these Banshee harassments are being so effective, and it looks like decided to stay in the passing lane, so he will be able to stay alive at this
narrowly
point.
missed that Banshee. That Banshee escapes with its life by a very narrow margin.
And Maka, by pulling back, theMusliM is literally only thinking about defense. theMuslim's trying to poke around with these Vikings, but this is his only vision into what's actually happening on the map. At the same time, Maka can easily take down these destructible rocks, set up for a 3rd expansion. Maka is in an overwhelmingly more comfortable position.
Yeah, with the army advantage at this point, he can afford to make the moves, and he wants to expand again, get additional resources, and really put the screws to his opponent. Here comes another Banshee once again, dancing around the backfield, a little unsure of himself, probably going to try to make a move here at some point when the time is right.
Looks like he's checking out this very, very cool statue on the left side.
And theMusliM at this point is really just wondering, like, what's going on, right? Because he needs to know what Maka is up to, because he's in a very, very unfortunate position right now, trying to snipe one of those medevacs, but it's not looking like it's going to go down. And he's just able to pretty much freely scout. Will that missile turret pick the right choice? No. Very close.
This is a little bit of a risky play by theMusliM. He is so desperate to see what's going on. This is very risky. He's going to try to drop to pick off as many SCVs as he can, but these Vikings are very vulnerable. They're going to lift up. He might end up losing 1 or even 2, or even absolutely no Vikings.
That's unbelievable. He sees a little bit of trouble here. This is not the unit he would absolutely choose for this kind of move. He'd prefer to be using Banshees like his opponent, as these Banshees trash even more of this economy. Marines coming in back in, and down he goes. still more damage being done. He's doing what he can with what he's got, though. He's using his Vikings effectively, dancing around with these guys. They're badly beaten up, but it's what he's got to keep his opponent on his back heel.
And now in what seemed like a very, very grim situation for mTwDeMusliM, he has actually opted to go ahead and expand to that 9 o'clock position. Now, Maka, it looks like, was getting a little antsy, possibly going to be getting ready to move across the map, but he's getting out his armory. I wonder what he's going to do with that.
I wouldn't be surprised if both players were just continuing to go for more and more upgrades. Occasionally, if you have a ton of resources in the bank, you make a bunch of factories, and when all of a sudden you start
they're
losing
moving
units,
at the same time.
Here's the huge
There
push. There's the
siege tanks
siege
are going down, the stim is going.
Maka has a significantly better arc, but the tanks of mTwDeMusliM are in a better position. Maka has way more ground infantry. mTwDeMuslim's units are just getting eaten alive, and there's the good game.